Creating Connections Podcast, episode 118. I am Mitch Taylor.
And I'm Vicki Musney.
And today we are talking about taking risks. That is chapter 5 from our acclaimed book, Creating Connections, 31 Days to Building Stronger and Deeper Relationships. And we're going to talk about that a little bit deeper today here on the podcast.
That was nice and easy.
What are you talking about? This also speaks to a much bigger issue.
Providing personal solutions through understanding people. This is the Creating Connections podcast with Gitomer Certified Advisor Mitch Taylor and Certified Personality Trainer Vicki Musney.
Welcome back to Creating Connections Podcast, episode 118. I'm Mitch.
And I'm Vicki.
We're talking about our book today, Creating Connections, breaking down each chapter a little bit deeper for you. And today we are on chapter 5, Take Risks. From our book, Creating Connections, 31 Days to Building Stronger and Deeper Relationships.
And this is one of the chapters that you wrote, which I think is appropriate because this is very much something that you do, even more than I do.
I have been a risk taker my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
Even going back to when I was 18 years old, 19 years old, I moved away from a town of 450 people and I went to Los Angeles. And I'd never been in an airplane before. I'd never been on a cruise ship before, never been to the West Coast before. Did it all in a matter of 2 days. Yeah. And I have moved now at least twice since then into brand new areas of the country where no one knew my name whatsoever and rebuilt. And I think that takes chutzpah.
Good word choice.
I think that it takes some daring.
Mm-hmm. It takes courage.
I think it takes you being a little bit crazy. Looking back on certain things, but it's a calculated risk.
Mm-hmm.
For example, I'll give you an example of taking risks. So when I first moved here to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan and was opening my own entertainment company, I left the company right. I gave them a year working notice.
Mm-hmm.
And I also chose not to go into competition with them and move to a completely different area to open my business.
Different market.
For them.
Mm-hmm.
And so taking risks doesn't mean that you burn the bridges.
Well, and it doesn't mean that you just go with everything, any idea. Oh, that's a good one. We'll do that.
And
but
so,
I think what you said was key, that calculated risks.
Yes. And so the owner that I used to work for, and don't get me wrong, we had a falling out back then, but those fences are mended now, and that's good. And so he asked me, though, what makes you think you're going to be successful? I vividly remember this. We were at a Wings game in Detroit at the Joe Louis Arena, and I vividly remember him asking me, what makes you think you're going to be successful up there? What makes you think you can do this? And it was because I had done my market research.
I thought it was because he dared you, as if to say that you couldn't.
No.
That's what made you successful.
No, it wasn't. That's a different kind of motivation.
Yes.
But it's true.
Sorry, go on.
That motivation absolutely exists.
Mm-hmm.
But it's because it was a calculated risk.
Mm-hmm.
And I did my research, and I knew that no one else in the market up here was doing things like I was doing in Metro Detroit or where I wanted to take my business. Yeah. So that, or one other person was, and that means they're still opening in the marketplace. So for me, that was the calculated risk. And, I describe in the book about taking risks. And my wife and I on the edge of a precipice in Cabo San Lucas, and where we did zip lining across a canyon there in Cabo. And then you're rappelling down the face of a rock. And when you step back into complete open air and there's nothing below you, that's it.
No, thank you.
It's calculated because you're harnessed,
I
you're
know.
wired, everything is safe. It's a calculated risk, but you're still taking that risk by stepping out into thin air and not knowing what's going to happen. But until you make that leap, pardon the pun, you don't know. And so calculated risk by doing your market research, by having the safety net, if you will, available.
But sometimes it does just take a leap of faith. And, you know, and we faced some of those same things. We had our business. I had already had 2 kids. My husband was running the side business. I was coordinating weddings for a very large venue in the Bay Area. When he came home from work and announced they were relocating his whole company to Reno. Yeah. You know, I didn't want to move. I was not interested. That was not a risk that I really wanted to take. I was very content where I was. I lived in the town where I was raised. I was, you know, going to the same church. My parents were 20 minutes away, which made it really easy for dropping the babies off when I wanted to run an errand or go to an appointment. And it was a huge risk for me, having lived in that same city my whole life, to moving to Reno where I didn't really know anybody except, you know, his boss, who at the time I hated.
Right.
You know, but that was a risk. And it ended up being a really, really good thing for our family. But we did spend 6 months in counseling making that decision because, like I said, it wasn't a risk that I openly embraced right away.
Yeah.
Now, looking back, am I glad we came? Absolutely. The connections that we have made, you know, here and where it's taken our business and our friendships and our personal relationships. I mean, I can't even fathom what my life would be like if we hadn't made that choice.
Yeah, it's almost like those old books of choose your own adventure. You turn to this page and, oh, I died.
Yes.
You know.
Oh, I don't think I would have died had I stayed, but yeah, it would have been I'd be in a different place.
It's a very different result.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like the connections you're making, that if you don't take that risk and leap outside of your comfort zone and try to connect with that person, you know, the old saying, if you shoot for the moon, you'll land amongst the stars. That is true. You know, if you don't take that jump out of your comfort zone, then you'll always wonder, what if?
Yeah.
And I have never wanted to wonder.
No. Well, I just look back too at our story and how I started doing wedding coordinating and then assisting my husband in video and even did photography for a few years. But for us, making the leap into doing DJing entertainment was not something that I saw coming. And when the opportunity came, a local colleague here had said, hey, I'd love to, you know, train you and be able to refer business to you when I'm booked. I don't want you to work for me. I don't want to be a multi-op. But would you guys let me help you, you know, add this piece to your wedding business that you're already doing? And between that and the connections that I had from speaking at conferences and already being a DJ Trivia affiliate, everything kind of fell into place, but there was still a risk. And when you said to me, you know, hey, do you want to go to the Marbecca workshop with me and one of my employees and do the MC workshop? I had only emceed 3 weddings at the time.
I know.
So for me, that was a huge personal risk to go before, you know, these people that I had heard about for years and knew by reputation and had maybe met in passing, but I didn't know them. But I knew that class was going to be intense. And I knew that I was the newest of the new people in that group. And it was scary. And it was a huge risk.
That was an amazing workshop.
But I'm so glad.
Workshop. We're just.
Yeah. But I'm so glad that I took that risk. And I'm grateful that you nudged me in that direction because of where it's taken my life since then.
I know.
You know? Personally and professionally, that was huge. But the big risk, had the big payoff. And
there's probably 3 workshops I can count, and I've taken, I think, 9 or 10 Marbecker workshops, probably 9. I think it's been 9.
Each one is a risk in and of itself.
Each one is different, but
yeah,
I would certainly put that specific Mammoth Lakes workshop as one of the top 2 or 3 I've ever taken. It was a great experience.
Yeah.
And
it was a really good group of people.
There was another one. I took a gold MC in Minneapolis with Bill Herman and Michael Anderson and JD Fisher and Josh Barron and a few others. And that was also pretty high up there too. But yeah. So great experience. And the key is to take risks, take calculated risks, and know where you want to go. Don't play the what if game. No. Life is too short to play the what if game. So we'd challenge you to take risks. If you haven't had a chance, go back and reread Creating Connections, 31 Days to Building Stronger and Deeper Relationships, specifically chapter 5 on take risks. Mm-hmm. And then you can take our daily action step challenge at the end. Just use the code I'm Connected in the book on our website, and that will go ahead and put you into the action challenge for day 5. So.
You can also just sign up for the 31 tips too if you want the email reminders every day, if you want to just do it for a month. And you can start your 31 days anytime. You don't have to wait till the first of the next month or anything like that. But just go to creatingconnections.biz and sign up for that and get the little nudge.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to Creating Connections today. Our podcast is because of you, and we thank you for your views, your listenership, and for your reviews. Feel free to write a review on iTunes if you can. We'd love to hear from you. That's it for the episode today. I'm Mitch Taylor.
And I'm Vicki Musney.
This is Creating Connections Podcast, providing personal solutions through understanding people. We'll see you next time.
Have a good one.
Thank you for listening to the Creating Connections Podcast with Gittimer Certified Advisor Mitch Taylor and Certified Personality Trainer Vicki Musney. For more information on providing personal solutions through understanding people better, visit creatingconnections.biz.